Hello, welcome back and thank you for joining me at InTheEnglishCorner.com. I want to discuss the rules of the comma in this video, and many people are very uncertain as to when you use the comma, and I've had so many students say to me that they tend to overuse the comma. They never know where to insert the comma, and would I please outline various rules. So what I have tried to do for you in this video is to outline a set of rules for you. Now, I must say there's no one perfect set of rules on which everyone agrees, but there are some basic rules that you can follow. And I've outlined those in this video. And as well, if you use your common sense and you read your sentences over carefully, this will also help you to figure out what you should do in other cases when you just can't remember what the rule is. Now, as you read your sentences aloud, you should listen carefully to where you pause in the sentence. And really, where you naturally pause is often a clue as to where the comma should be placed. Now, let's go over these rules. I've explained them. I've also included a good number of examples to help you. And let's see how you find these different rules. Okay, come along and join with me. The first rule that I want to outline is the use of commas between items in a series. Now, commas must be used to separate 3 or more items in a series or in a list. The comma before the word "and" at the end of the list is optional. Let's take a look at a couple of examples to clarify this rule. So the items, first of all, can be a list of words. Take a look at this one. Her room was cluttered with books, clothes, shoes, and magazines. So here is your list of words: books, comma, clothes, comma, shoes, comma, and magazines. And in this next example, she took sandwiches, fruit, cookies, and drinks to the company picnic. Here is your list of words. She brought sandwiches, comma, fruit, comma, and as I mentioned, the final comma before the word "and" is optional. You may include it or you may not. They're both acceptable. So in this example, I did not include it, but you could also put the comma there. Now also, the items might be expressed as phrases. A phrase is a group of words that go together, but they lack one or more of the elements necessary to make them a sentence. Let's look at this example. Here are your phrases. Jogging for half an hour. It's not a sentence, but it's a group of words making a phrase. Jogging for half an hour, comma. Walking through the park, comma. Soaking in a hot tub and reading an exciting mystery novel are activities to help me to relax. So there is your list of phrases, of activities that you enjoy. And in this next example, my doctor told me that eating healthier food, exercising regularly, and getting, that should be there, 8 hours of sleep per night will help me to reduce stress and tension. So there is your list with commas separating your items. You're going to eat healthier food, exercise regularly, and you could or could not have a comma before the word "and." And as well, the items might also be expressed as clauses. A clause is a group of words which has a subject and a verb. And let's look at these lists. Every weekend, and here are your thoughts: Betty vacuums the house, Sam does the laundry, and Don washes the floor. You can or can't have the comma here, and there's your list. It's a list of thoughts, of clauses. And in this example, after you clean your room, and here's the list, complete your homework, and take the dog for a walk, you can watch television. So you're going to clean your room, complete your homework, and you could or could not put the comma, and take the dog for a walk, you can watch television. So there's the first rule of the use of comma with lists. The next use of the comma is after introductory material. Let's look at what this means. Use a comma to set off introductory material. Notice you will hear a pause after the introductory phrase, and that pause lets you know that that's where you put the comma. After studying for the exam, Joe ate his dinner. So that's where you would put the comma, after studying for the exam. Just to get back at me, Sarah did not answer my phone call. So your natural pause would be after me. Barely alert, that's your introductory phrase, barely alert, comma, John stumbled to answer the knock at the door. And in the last example, hoping for a lucky break, and you'd pause there, so you'd put the comma right in here, Lola applied for the sales position. I want you to note that a comma may be used to set off extra words or material also at the end of the sentence. These examples are at the beginning of the sentence, but you can also have them at the end of the sentence. For example, Jerry has a problem taking any advice, comma, especially from his wife. Or, she spent the entire afternoon on the computer. And there's your final thought, trying to apply for jobs. And in this example, I enjoyed the novel. There's your pause, except for the opening chapter. So those extra words or material in these three examples are at the end of the sentence. Okay, rule number 3 is commas and parenthetical expressions or transition words. Let's see what I mean by this. Commas set off words which are used to explain or qualify statements. And these are called parenthetical expressions. And I've listed a number of parenthetical expressions and how you use commas with them. These expressions include, of course, it seems, I hope, after all, I think, as a matter of fact, for example, actually, by the way, and to tell the truth. So, taking a look at some specific examples to clarify for you. The first one I'm including is, she is, of course, late for work again. So this is a parenthetical expression, so you need commas before and after. She is, of course, late for work again. So each of these parenthetical expressions would have a comma before and a comma after the expression. Another one, Barry did, after all, promise to help me on the weekend. You cannot just have one comma. You must include the two of them, before and after the parenthetical expression. And this one, they are, I hope, planning on joining us later at the party. If you only put they are, comma, and you don't put the second comma after hope, that is incorrectly using the comma. It's called a parenthetical expression, and you put the comma before and then a comma after the expression. Also, taking a look at this next rule, you use commas to set off transitional words or expressions. And here are some examples of transitional expressions. However, in fact, therefore, consequently, nevertheless, indeed, furthermore, and moreover. There are many, many more transitional expressions which you will find in several of my other videos, but this is just a few of these are just a few of the basic ones to help you. So, taking a look at these examples now, I did, in fact, request time off from work. There's a parenthetical expression with the comma before and after. Or, here are transitional expressions. She will, comma, nevertheless, comma, finish her assignment tonight. Or, the doctor mentioned, comma, on the other hand, comma, that there could be side effects. So you need to review and familiarize yourself with parenthetical expressions as well as transitional words or expressions. The next rule for using the comma is for addresses and dates. So in an address, you must place a comma after each part of the address. Do not put a comma between the province or state and the postal code or zip code. Let's look at two quick examples. He lives at 124 Main Street, comma, Toronto, comma, Ontario. So the comma between the street, the city, the province, but you do not put a comma before the zip code. There's never a comma before the zip code or postal code. And in this example, the train took us to Denver Colorado, and to Detroit, Michigan. You always separate a city and a state, or a city and a country, with a comma. Now, looking at a date, in a date you must place the commas after the day of the week, the date, and the year. Let's look at this example. Saturday, just smooth this up a little bit. Saturday, comma, July 16th, comma, 2012, comma, is the date of our wedding. Note where you put all the commas. After the day, after the actual number of the day of the month, after the year. All need commas. On September the 9th, comma, 2010, after the year, comma, Jim got his promotion at work. So be sure that you review those rules on the use of the comma with your address and your date. All right, here's a fifth rule for comma usage. You use a comma between complete thoughts that are connected by a joining word. Now, these complete thoughts that are connected with joining words are called compound sentences. You always use commas between two complete ideas anytime you use these joining words. So you need two complete ideas, and then you place the comma before the joining word. The joining words or coordinating words that you need to learn are and, but, for, so, yet, or, and nor. Now take a look at this rule, please. You must add the comma before the joining word. And remember that both the thoughts have to be complete. They have to stand independently, and then you put the joining word and a comma before the joining word. Now let me give you an example. Again, examples really clarify and make it a lot easier to follow the rules. So in this first example, I was studying all day and I spent the evening cleaning the house. You've got two complete thoughts joined together with a coordinating word or a joining word. One idea is I was studying all day. The next is I spent the evening cleaning the house. So you put the joining word and you must put the comma before the joining word. Or in this next example, my sister likes painting in her free time, but I enjoy reading a good novel. One complete thought is my sister likes painting in her free time. The next one is I enjoy reading a good novel. So you would join them with the joining word but, you put the comma before. And then the last example, the bus stops here, but it also stops at the mall. Two complete thoughts. The bus stops here is one. You have your subject and your verb. And it stops at the mall. You have another subject. It stops is the verb. You have two complete thoughts connected with a joining word, so the comma must go before the joining word. So in these above examples, both thoughts can stand independently. So you must use the comma to join the two complete thoughts. And these are called compound sentences. And you will find I have another video in this website on types of sentences, and I do discuss compound sentences, and the rule is outlined in that video as well if you need further assistance. But please remember, you do not add a comma if a sentence has a joining word. So just because you see the word and, don't think automatically you put the comma. The joining word has to join two complete ideas. Each of the two thoughts must contain both a subject and a verb. Now I've included a couple of examples. This is where you do use the comma. In this example, he ran for the train, but he missed it anyway. You have two complete thoughts here. He ran for the train is subject is he, the verb is ran. He missed it anyway. You've got the subject he and the verb missed. So you've got two complete thoughts. So you use the comma to join them. But in this example, you're not going to use the comma. He ran for the train, but missed it anyway. You've got your subject, he, the verb ran for the train, but you don't have a subject in this half of the sentence, so you wouldn't put the comma before but. However, if you said he ran for the train, comma, but he missed it, then you would use the comma, because you need two complete thoughts with a subject and a verb in both your thoughts. So let's take a look at a couple of examples just to further review this. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch this here. Here are the examples. The first one. John came late to work, so his boss was very angry with him. So let's take a look at this one. John came late to work. There's one complete thought. His boss was very angry with him. There's your next complete thought. So you would have to put the comma before the joining word to join two complete ideas. In number 2, Darren lay awake at night and listened to the thunder and lightning. Darren lay awake at night is one thought. Listen to the thunder and lightning. There's no subject there. You don't know who's listening, so you would not put the comma before the joining word. My father loves to go camping, but rarely finds the time. You've got my father loves to go camping, one thought, so that's okay. Rarely finds the time, there's no subject. You didn't say, but he rarely finds the time, so you would not put the comma. There's no comma. It's not a compound sentence. And in the last one, he was late arriving at school, for he missed the 10 o'clock train. One idea is he was late arriving for school. The next one, here's your subject. He missed the 10 o'clock train, so you must put the comma before the joining word for. All right, so I hope you understand that rule because it can be a little bit tricky. The 6th rule for the use of commas is commas around words interrupting the flow of thought. Commas are used before and after words that may interrupt the flow of thought. The commas are used to set off any word, a phrase, or a dependent clause that is not essential to the main idea of the sentence. And this is called an appositive phrase. It's information that you're including in the sentence that tells you more about the subject or about somebody in the sentence, but it's not crucial. So you're interrupting the flow with commas. This appositive phrase is a group of words in a sentence that simply give further information about a noun in a sentence. Let's look at this example. John Green, the world-famous drummer, is a very talented musician. This is telling you more about who John Green is. It's called an appositive phrase, so you need the comma before and after. Now, if you took those words out, the sentence would still make sense. John Green is a very talented musician. So you must include both commas. If you omit the appositive phrase, each time you'll see that your sentence will still make sense. Okay, so that's for non-essential information. That's where you'd use those two commas. One more example. Johnny Green is a very talented musician. In this example, you would not use any commas because you're simply telling me that he's a talented musician. So there's no appositive. But in these two examples, Barbie, the girl with the green dress, is my oldest sister. This is the appositive phrase, and you're telling me who Barbie is. So Barbie, comma, the girl with the green dress, comma, is my oldest sister. Or you could take it out because if you didn't think it was really important, you wouldn't include it at all, but you still want to include it, but you're not emphasizing it. Or Sam, our new friend, is a chef at a famous new restaurant. In this example, this is the appositive, and you need both commas because you're explaining who Sam is, but it's non-essential material. The 7th rule for use of the comma is for words of direct address. You use a comma when you're addressing a person to set off a name, such as John, you're late again. You, Mr. Green, will be our guest speaker. So you pause and put a comma after you and then after the person's name. Children, I'm addressing the children, comma. Please be careful when you're crossing the road. Or, I believe, Mr. Fletcher. So when you're addressing a person and the person's name is in the middle of the sentence, you put a comma before and after their name. I believe, Mr. Fletcher, you're the next contestant on the show. The 8th rule for the use of commas is in direct quotations. You must place quotation marks around the exact words spoken, and you use commas to set the quotation from the remainder of the sentence. Now, in the website, I do have a video on the use of quotation marks if you need more help with this. So Frank said to Mary, there's your comma, I cannot marry you. So comma, and then you start the quote. Or, thank you for the dinner invitation, comma, and then you close the quotation. Or, if there's a break in thought in the quotation mark, in the quote, I would be thrilled, comma, replied Molly, comma, if you would join us. Now there are many, many more rules on quotation marks. So, and where you put the punctuation, do they go inside or outside of the quotation marks? So you should review quotation marks if you're uncertain as to those rules. I just gave you a quick note that a comma or period at the end of the quotation always goes inside the quotation marks. The ninth rule for the use of commas is for short expressions. You use commas to set off words or short expressions such as well, yes, no, sure, oh, and why. Example, yes, comma, please come in. Or the next one, oh, comma, he forgot to lock the door again. And here's one more, why, it is you again. So there is your short expressive word, why, comma, it is you again. And the 10th rule is just, I put together other comma uses which I feel are important. Commas in informal letters. You place a comma after the opening and closing in an informal letter, such as Dear Aunt Sue, comma, or you'd end a letter with love, comma, fondly, comma, or all the best, comma. But take note that in business letters, you use a colon, not a comma, after the opening. So in a business letter, you would say, Dear Mr. Browning, colon, to whom it may concern, colon, dear homeowner. And those are all introductions. But the conclusion of a business letter, you always put the comma at the end. Yours truly, comma, and sincerely yours, comma. And almost finished. Commas in numbers. When following the imperial system of measurement, you use a comma or commas in numbers of 1,000 or larger. So you 2,326, there's your comma. You always start from the end and count backwards 3. 1, 2, 3, your comma. 1, 2, 3, your comma. 1, 2, 3, your comma. Okay? And then getting close to the end, the next rule is for transpose words or phrases. Words or phrases that are moved to the beginning of the sentence from their normal position are usually set off by a comma. Example, as usual, comma, Jim overslept, or surprisingly, comma, the rush hour train was not full. And finally, take a look at this sentence. It's very unclear. Waking the lady felt the cat licking her face. Without a comma, you really don't understand the sentence. What the person's trying to say is waking, comma, so as she woke up, the lady felt the cat licking her face. Now it's much easier to understand. And a few examples. For Jack, Stephen King is his favorite author. What you're trying to say is for Jack, comma, Stephen King is his favorite author. The second one, whoever did this should certainly be punished. Whoever did this, for emphasis, you'd put the comma, should certainly be punished. Now it's clear. And in the last example, if you swallow, your ears will no longer feel blocked. You would say, if you swallow, comma, your ears will no longer feel blocked. So you need the commas to clarify, because otherwise it's really confusing and hard to understand. So please review these many comma rules and be careful to not use the comma unnecessarily. Remember that if the rules do not apply, it's better to not overuse the comma. In general, if there's any doubt whether you should use a comma, then just try to go back and review this video, because you really do not want to overuse the comma. So lots and lots of rules. I hope you find this helpful, and please contact me if you have any further questions. Thank you so much. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.